And then I started to eat exclusively whole foods. A whole food does not mean a food from the store Whole Foods. A whole food is a food. Basically, you could define it as real food. That's how I define it. People get mad at me when I do that. But it's a whole food is a food whose only ingredient is itself. This is true of every fruit, every vegetable, of meat, of grains, of starches. Like carrot is a carrot, spinach is spinach, apple is an apple, banana is banana, steak is a steak. Now, some of these things, unfortunately, even that's not so true anymore, because sometimes now, like, eggs are not eggs and chicken is not chicken. It's like something else.
Or if a fruit has been coated.
Or if it's covered in wax and pesticides and
which makes me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I was a kid.
Yeah. So even within that, there's still some caution, but it's kind of like steps. So you slowly move toward whole foods. And once you're consistently in whole foods, and this is something we'll explore more later on, then you can start to refine that and get more particular, but you don't have to worry about that to begin with. So I started eating whole foods, and people go, well, should I do this diet? Should I do that diet? First of all, the diet mentality to begin with is wrong and doesn't work. And the results are in on that, which is the diet mentality, meaning I'm going to eat this way, this particular way that's highly restrictive, that I don't want to eat, that I don't like, and I'm going to do it until I get the results that I desire, being usually weight loss. Once I've lost the weight, then didn't think that far ahead. And then what happens is they never actually change their lifestyle of eating. And so when they finish the diet and they go off, they just immediately go back to the way they were eating before. This time their body's actually less tolerant of it, because now it's like a shock to them. Body handles it even worse than before, and they put all the weight on and more.
Ouch.
Super common. Like, I don't know the number, but it's like the vast majority of people, that's what happens. So what you actually need is the key is sustainability. Meaning you have to find a way of eating that lasts a lifetime. Like, this is just how I eat now. It's not like, oh, I'm doing this diet. It's like, this is just how I eat. So that's what you want to find, is like a lifestyle, a way of eating that is sustainable, meaning it lasts forever. And there can be variations along the way. I'm not saying it has to be like, this is the way. In fact, that's where it goes wrong. So the key is sustainability. And then when you look at, well, how do you find sustainability? It has to be something that you actually like and that actually makes you feel good. So like for me, I cannot eat nuts or seeds or dairy and a random collection of some other things. So for me, like, what I had to do was, within the domain of single ingredient whole foods, or the way I like to say it to some people is the food that God made, which, if you are a believer and a follower of Christ and you have that kind of worldview, and you think about it, you really can see like what food God made and what food mankind made. It's actually like very clear distinction if you learn to look for it. Like, did God make that or did man make that? And you can see, like, you can tell right away what the answer to that question is. So the food that God made, within that domain, there are still a lot of foods that I can't have because I have gut problems. So I just had to experiment with all kinds of different ways of eating. And ultimately what I found, and what I now coach people in, is you want to find basically the whole foods that you actually like want to eat, that you like, and that your body agrees with, that you actually want to eat and look forward to. If your diet is comprised of foods that you don't like and that you don't want to eat, how is that going to work? It's not going to work.
It's not.
So when you say, what diet should I do? The diet you should do is a custom diet. And as we dig into it more, I can make like specific recommendations. Things like simple sugars are probably best avoided by most, but at the beginning, like, again, it doesn't matter. If you're eating like fruit and honey and stuff, like if you're moving from ice cream and pastries and junk and stuff, like as long as you're in the whole foods domain, you're already leaps and bounds ahead and you're going to be doing great. But what you want to do is basically create a custom diet. I don't even like the word diet, but I don't know what else to say. Create a custom just lifestyle of eating that your body agrees with. Now there's an interesting point here since we're talking about it, which is when people switch from processed food to whole foods, they don't like any of them. And so they say, well, I don't like any of the healthy foods, so what do I do? That's actually not true. It's that persist. Experience is true. You said persist is true because it will change, and it changes radically. Because at first your taste buds and your receptors and everything else, your gut bacteria, all of it is adapted to high sugar, high fat, high calorie, like calorie dense, super sweet, super salty, highly palatable food. So then if you go and eat a carrot, then you'll be like, this is rubbish. But that's because obviously you're accustomed to something very, very different. But it does not take very long to reset.
I've seen it happening in me.
If you especially if you go all the way, if you just try like a month where you just don't eat any junk at all, like you'll completely reset. And then your body starts to recognize that, hey, suddenly I'm getting all kinds of nutrients and minerals and amino acids that I was not getting before. Body kind of gets excited about that because it's like been craving those things. And then it creates a reward for I was sick last week and I basically made like a vegetable soup where I just took like green onions, celery, carrots, sweet potato, spinach and black lentils, and just made like a simple soup from when I was sick. And I ate it like 3 days in a row, like twice a day, 2 or 3 days in a row. And then on the fourth, I ran out. And on the fourth day, I was super motivated to make more. And I'm like, what is this? Because I'm used to it, so I didn't react like that. But I noticed that suddenly I was like really anticipating eating that again, even though it's like, you wouldn't think that would be something you'd get excited about.
Totally, and you're ready.
But especially I think because I was sick, maybe, my body recognized, like when I ate it, my body went, hey, was like, that's incredible. So my theory is that my body recognized, when I ate the food, it recognized whatever you just did was super good and we should do that again.
Do it again.
And then I did it again, and now my body's starting to learn what it was and it's starting to create an appetite and a motivation for that food. So what happens is you can start to get addicted, not really, to healthy food and to feeling good, because the food starts to have its effect. Your body learns that it creates a connection between what we just ate and how I'm now operating is good, and we want to repeat that. And so dopamine, which people think is a reward, like a hit as a reward, it's not. It's called a neuromodulator, and it's actually functions through motivation. So what it does is it produces motivation toward a desired reward. And so when dopamine is released, it reinforces the pattern, like the neural pathway or the pattern of behavior that produced the desired outcome. It reinforces and strengthens that pattern. So the way addiction gets formed is when you're engaging in something like a video game or a screen or sugar or pornography, is that you have that desired reward. The dopamine release is so massive that it reinforces the pathway, like whatever sequence of behavior you did to achieve that reward, it makes that pathway stronger, so it's more likely to reoccur. And then every time you do that, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And so some people, like addiction is when like that pathway is so robust that all other pathways are like the gravitational pull of that. When you try to like do something different, try to not do it, there's literally like a trench in your brain that the water, like if the water's going to flow on the flat ground or down the trench, it's going to take the trench every time. So that's why addictions are brutal to try and break. And that's something else we can talk about later.
Yes, that would definitely probably be useful.
So anyway, in this case, dopamine was working as intended, which was my body recognized that that soup was healing me, and it was reinforcing because I had to like chop a bunch of stuff. Like there's a whole process involved in making it, and I'm not going to do that unless I'm motivated to do that. And so it was like giving me
the motivation
to go through the process of creating and acquiring that food. And then every time I ate it, and I've actually been made it several more times since then, where like I feel so good that it's tasting better and better and better. Like my brain is making it taste better to motivate me to consume more of it.
I like it. I don't know if I've ever looked at something through that lens, but it's really cool.
And I believe, now I'm really sensitive to things, so like these things might be more noticeable for me, but I do strongly believe that that is what happens if someone switches fully over to whole foods. That process will begin to take, I don't know how long it takes, but that switch will start to happen where your brain will start to make healthy food taste better for you and start giving you motivation to like cook it and make it and eat it. I believe that will happen.